This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
So the goal, if you want to make a living as an artist, is to figure out how to do it. And unfortunately, it's not just like what was that Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come. It's not true. If you paint it, they won't come. You have to invite people in. You have to learn marketing to do that. It doesn't have to be harsh. It doesn't have to be sleazy or greasy or salesy, but it is a good skill to learn because otherwise, you'll have skinny kids. So the first question comes from Patricia Tabor Perry in Massachusetts. And the question is a simple one. Where is the best place to begin to market your art? You know, that's a loaded question, Patricia, because there's so many answers to that. I think first off, I think the very first piece of this is to find out if you're ready. Um, I I certainly wasn't ready when I started marketing my art, and I struggled with that because it's kind of like if you're manufacturing a product and your product isn't good, you're going to have a hard time selling it. So you got a car where the doors don't work, nobody's going to buy it. And so I like the idea of getting some advice. So find some trusted advisors who will tell you the truth. And the way I have always approached it is I don't want you to say anything good. I want you to tell me the bad stuff because I need to know what I've got to work on, what I've got to fix. And ultimately, the question is, am I ready? Now, there's different levels of people, right? So if you were to ask Cindy Barron, for instance, she's at a very, very high level. Now, she's a very generous person and she will, be very kind to you. But, her standards are high. And someone else you ask, their standards might not be as high. So you want to ask people who have standards that are high, because I think that's important. Now, you might not, you might go out there anyway because you might not get to that level right away. But one thing I like to do is ask gallery owners. And I did this recently. I sent a picture of a painting to a friend of mine who's a gallery owner. I said, listen, I have no intention of asking you to go into your gallery because this is not a ploy to have you secretly discover what a great painter I am. I just said, I I don't know if this is ready, and I need some feedback. And he was very generous. Now you have to do it with somebody you know and trust if you can. And he was very generous, and he gave me some really great feedback, some things that I couldn't see. And that's the nice thing. And I have friends that I will contact that I paint with, and I'll send them an image when I'm painting. I'll say, something's not right, but I can't tell what it is. And, somebody will say, well, move that tree. I was doing a self-portrait, and Max Ginsburg said, well, you're missing the enough darks on this side of the face if you just change that one thing. And he was completely right. And so, but I couldn't see it. So look for somebody to give you feedback. Now, the other thing you've got to do is start with some questions. The questions you've got to ask yourself is, why do you want to market your art? What is your purpose? I did some coaching at Fall Color Week one year because it was snowing and nobody wanted to go out. And so I killed some time by offering some coaching one-on-one with some people. And a couple of people said, I want to sell my art. And I said, why? And they said, I don't know, because everybody's supposed to do that. I said, well, that's not true. I said, do you need the money? And in two cases, they said, no, I don't need the money. I have plenty of money. I retired. I put my money away. I said, well, why do you want to sell your art? And then they realized, well, it was really about recognition. And they wanted that validation that somebody was willing to pay for it. I said, well, can you get that validation some other way? Like, could you get it by donating your art or charity auctions or things that others will appreciate it, but you don't have to feel like you have the pressure of marketing and selling your art and advertising. And so that resonated with those people, but you got to figure out, why do you want to do it? What do you want to accomplish? Why do you want to sell it? Is it about money? Do you want to make a living? If it's you want to make a living, how much of a living do you want to make? Do you want to replace the income you have now? If you're a heart surgeon and you're making, I don't know how much heart surgeons make, but you're making that much money. I'll go talk to a heart surgeon today and find out. Uh, they're never going to tell me. But the idea is it a little money? Is it a lot of money? Is it a retirement income? Is it a full-time gig? That influences all of the things that you're going to have to figure out. What about recognition? How important is that? That validation. And then, you dig into those things and try to understand what it is you really want to accomplish, because a lot of people chase rainbows that they don't really want to chase. And they get there and they go, oh, I didn't, I'm really busy and I don't like being busy. So find it, talk to other artists, find out what their life is like. If you say, well, I want to be like this artist or that artist, call that artist and say, hey, what's your life like? And they're like, well, I'm on the road 7 months a year doing plein air shows and I never see my family. And, it's a hard way to make a living. I like it. I love it. But, are you willing to do that? So you got to be thinking about those things in terms of, um, once you get beyond all of that, then you're going to have to think about, how do I ease into this? What's my strategy? I think just start small, start easy, do tests. I love tests, like a really great way to start is just to do a little art show, local cafe, local restaurant, go to the owner, set something up, give them a piece of it if they need that. The goal is to just find out, this isn't always about making money. It really never is. That's a side benefit, I think, because you do what you love and the money will typically follow. But there are things that you have to do, disciplines you have to do. So start small, do a little business, a little art show at a business or a cafe or something. Try that. Or maybe, try a little gallery test. Maybe there's a community gallery you can try out, or maybe, you start talking to galleries. But I would find out first if your work is marketable before you do that. See what works, and then kind of start there. The ultimate answer to that question that I always say in my art marketing boot camp is I talk about, okay, very first thing you do is you start building your list, because if you build a list, then you can get more contact with people. Somebody signs up for your newsletter, you give them an incentive to do that, and so on. Now, the next question is from Emily Feeney in Illinois. Would publishing the name of high profile buyers drive up prices? Well, Emily, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. Um, I had a really wonderful artist friend in Carmel who had her own gallery, and she had a lot of famous people who bought paintings, and she would take pictures with those people and she would blow them up and frame them and put them in the gallery. And that was an implied endorsement. It said, well, because Pierce Brosnan or Oprah Winfrey or Tom Cruise or somebody bought one of my paintings, and here's my picture with them. That's an implied endorsement. It's not an endorsement, but it's implied. What I told her to do, I advised her to do, is I said, you need something that you can actually talk about. I said, well, who famous do you have that is not on the pictures on the wall that you'd like to be able to talk about? And she told me a very famous director. And I said, well, do you have any way to contact that person? She said, well, I have his contact information, but these people are hard to get to. I said, well, why don't you do this? You say, you were in the gallery, send a little tiny painting. So you were in the gallery a couple of years ago, and I'm so honored that you owned a piece of mine. I was thinking about you. I thought you'd like to have this little painting as well. And then wait for a response. Don't ask for anything up front. And then wait, once you get a response, then you can, if they send you a note or they give you a call or somebody calls for you, then you can open the door and say, hey, would it be okay? Would I have your permission if I could say I'm in the Steven Spielberg collection or I'm in the Oprah Winfrey collection? And some of them will say yes and some will say no because people like their privacy. So um, always ask. If you can get a picture with somebody and you can say, hey, are you okay if I post this, or are you okay if I put it up in my studio or my gallery? Then that gives you something. And I went to a hairdresser one time, and he was like a hairdresser to the movie stars, and he never said anything about it, but there were pictures of him with all these famous people all around. It's like, so, what's the story you tell your friends? Oh, the hairdresser I go to does, Donny Osmond or something. Right. Anyway, I think that, it's a good thing to look for every possible advantage that you can have. And getting high profile buyers will help your branding, it'll help your pricing. It will make other people want it because celebrity works. Now, if it's high profile in some other area, a sports celebrity or something else, it doesn't matter. But it should be people that people know. I mean, if you're saying, well, this is Bob Jones and he's the CEO of SpaceX or something, then maybe you have to tell people who they are. Everybody would know if it's Elon Musk. But the idea would be uh, get their permission. Don't do anything without them. I used to have a different take on that, but I don't anymore. I want everything to be on the up and up. I don't want anything to be at all questionable because eventually they're going to find out and you don't want to make them mad and you don't want to offend anybody, and it's just the best thing to do. Anyway, that's today's Art Marketing Minute.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.